That is a person opening the passenger side door. The vehicle is virtually disabled, no right wheel, but law enforcement right behind. So we are now going to see what's going to happen as the person had a car door open. Somebody is backing up here. They've bailed out, and now they're on the run. They're trying to get into another vehicle, and they have. There are two women running away from the vehicle. Now we have a different pursuit. The suspect, it seems, has...
С этой истории и начнем. А вас я попрошу поставить лайк этому видео и подписаться на канал Crimes Day, чтобы не пропустить новые выпуски. И снова Лос-Анджелес. Парень, подозреваемый в убийстве, пытается уйти от полицейской погони на угнанном сером внедорожнике, опасно разъезжая и маневрируя между машин. Несколько минут назад преступник проехал по шипам, проколов переднее правое колесо, поэтому уехать далеко ему не удастся. Но он все же попробует. Несколько патрульных машин уже следуют прямо за ним, ожидая его ошибки и удобной возможности для принудительной остановки и поимки подозреваемого. Но по виду преступник хладнокровен и рассудителен. Ошибок он делать не намерен.
The phone with us. He has joined us now, and this person is now again approaching the intersection. You see that the people, they see it. We're going to get Bruce Thomas here in a minute. He's not here with us yet. But that was about as aggressive in a move that we've seen. One time passing on the right in the right turn lane, that caused a near collision. Now you see some aggressive lane changes and actually going through an intersection there when others were sitting still. So now we're starting to see a little bit more in the way of aggressive driving by this person. And see, now you're seeing an approach by officers quickly up on the just kind of the left rear of this person. So now they're moving in to the right, trying to pass another group on the right there. Again, using the right turn lane to get around here. We'll see if they try to continue on or actually make a right turn. So now an aggressive move through the intersection. You see one person yielding right of way, which is a smart move, but now...
Грамотно маневрируя, преступник очень четко режет все надежды полицейских сзади использовать пит-маневр для остановки автомобиля.
Bruce Thomas is now to a carjacking that you might be willing to pull your pursuit back just a little bit. Yes? Okay, well look.
Шину не просто спустило, ее уже в принципе нет, он едет на диске. Что-то нужно делать, причем срочно.
Maybe the driver had hit a spike strip, and so now that he's going the other direction, we can see that. So this vehicle is going to be not and the murder suspect. That creates a lot of unknowns for the officers.
That's correct. There are a lot of unknowns about this. One is the vehicle is going to become disabled, which it seems like it might. However, you are talking about a pickup truck with some weight and tonnage behind it, and it will ride on the rims that we've seen in numerous pursuits. So ultimately, when they get this vehicle stopped, it's going to be a high-risk traffic stop. You do have a murder suspect.
See them right now because with that disabled front wheel, so it was the right. There we go, under the bridge. We can follow. If we follow police, we can probably follow the suspect, and there he is again, Bruce. So. But again, he's got rubber on the driver's side, but he is incapable of really holding that thing steady. And you're not going to get a lot of turns. Isn't that the most difficult thing? When you have no rubber, there's no right turn, left turn. You can still go straight, and that's suspect. But the difficulty is any kind of movement side to side.
That's correct. I mean...
Видно, что машиной уже крайне трудно управлять. Но у преступника есть план.
Now you've got a wheel that's turned and you're going to be grinding that down very quickly. But what you're going to see law enforcement, what they're doing is they're already on the radio talking under mutual aid to agencies in the South Bay saying, hey.
Officers have an opportunity, yes, to to get in front of this a little bit and start being maybe in a better position to respond very quickly as opposed to a high-speed chase. Well, here we go. Driving through an intersection with only one front tire with rubber. The rims are starting to show some damage
in place. K9 units, TNT team, crisis negotiating team, and SWAT team, including the Bearcat vehicle, they're all probably being spun up at this point and being sent in that direction, just in the odd chance that they are needed. And with a murder suspect, hopefully we always hope for the best, but you have to have plan B, that he's not going to surrender peacefully and quietly.
Okay, well, right now the suspect in the wrong lane, driving into oncoming traffic, if anybody was coming that way, and he's now turned onto cases, will generally stay around the same space. Familiar for the driver.
Yeah, Phil, they seem to have a pattern, even though it's not a pattern, of in a certain geographic area that they may be a little more familiar with than just driving aimlessly.
Eliminate the possibility of a pit maneuver in a traditional manner, yes, because you can't. You've got to be careful. You've got to make sure the officers are not at risk, surrounding public not at risk, and something like that. What would the procedures be if they knew this person had a weapon?
Well, there are a couple of points that you bring into play here, Philip. One, if you do a pit maneuver and the driver is not an ally and he is just a hostage, now you've endangered their life. Also, with the pit maneuver, you've spun the vehicle out of control and hopefully it'll come to a stop. Now you have an armed suspect, a high-grade felony armed suspect there, and you're putting those officers at risk.
Right. Okay. So that is something that for viewers, there are a lot of variables that must be considered to protect the public and protect officers. So now we have another U-turn possibly here. And again, that would be traditionally a place where you might try a pit, but you don't want to necessarily do that if the person driving is a hostage, if that person has been carjacked. And Bruce, you made another very valid point. They've run the plates, they'll know.
Складывается ощущение, что преступник просто тянет время, не слишком провоцируя полицию на агрессивные действия.
Correct?
That's correct. They're getting as much intelligence as they can on that vehicle.
Okay, it's almost as if this driver is probing and trying to figure out where they might go. Driving into oncoming traffic again now, and again seems to be on La Cienega Boulevard, and it's near freeway exits. This person is likely condition of the vehicle, but there are possible reports of an armed murder suspect in the vehicle. So how police approach this vehicle and try to get this to an end is still very much in doubt, because you have to cause just collateral damage that you don't want. So as Bruce is saying, nobody wants a shooting here. Officers would love to see this end as quickly as possible. Clearly this is going to end because that vehicle is disabled and is going to get further.
Машина преступника сильно накренена вправо. Колесного диска, скорее всего, уже тоже нет, и он едет на тормозном.
It is nearly a broken axle at this point because he is really listing in that right side direction. So he may have lost. We saw the hubcap start to deteriorate. So the rim.
Скоро ему придется поднимать эту юбочку вокруг него и грести ножками.
And eventually, as Bruce mentioned, you could turn that wheel and then all of a sudden the entire steering mechanism is locked. Bruce, I've seen the front tires loses the back tires, then the propulsion area is going to, the forward movement is going to be more difficult. But again, still driving with a lot of traffic in the area, and that just creates so many other variables that are dangerous.
The LA Airport Police, they're probably on standby, maybe blocking some of those streets, hopefully. But if this person were to get into the terminal of the airport, this is going to become...
Преступник поворачивает в сторону аэропорта, наверное, хочет сменить автомобиль на паркинге. Только вот не факт, что у него получится даже выйти из машины с таким-то кортежем. Понимая это, он просто развернулся и поехал в обратном направлении. И по встречке. Колесо выглядит нормально. Пару сезонов походит.
That's going to become a massive issue for the vehicle to continue to go forward. It is going to start to get incredibly hot, and it's, quite frankly, going to be causing a lot of damage to the road as well. Now it's broken off. You saw that wheel has broken off, and that's going to make it even harder to turn, and it's going to make that vehicle even hotter as far as potentially starting a fire. And
Yeah, and you're right.
alone in his lane here, except he is not nearly the amount of traffic, and somehow has continued to be able to maneuver. It looked as if that was the remnants of a spike stripper. He caught something that he had driven over. But again, this is a murder suspect that is in, we believe, the back seat, the passenger seat of this Chevrolet pickup truck, not driving. We have some reports. We have a belief that there might be a weapon in the vehicle. We do not know. We don't. Maybe law enforcement does. We don't know the relationship of...
Может, у него хоть бензин кончится. А то я сейчас усну.
Authorities might be able, they don't know if this is an ally or an adversary in the vehicle. So that is going to be a very challenging part of this as far as what we can think of for police. Because if they don't saw that vehicle just drive, that is an expression.
Но вот, наконец, в пикапе открывается пассажирская дверь, и из машины начинают вылетать салфетки. Он, наверное, очень одинок.
No right wheel, but law enforcement right behind. So we are now going to see what's going to happen as the person had a car door.
Машина останавливается, из нее бежит преступник и пересаживается в ожидающий его внедорожник. Show must go on.
The vehicle. Now we have a different pursuit. The suspect, it seems, has jumped into that vehicle. Maybe had been communicating with that because that person backed up and opened the door and got in. The two women ran away. So this now looks like some sort of accomplice in this SUV. So the vehicle was disabled. Now you have a...
Напишите прямо сейчас в комментариях ваши предположения. Уйдут они от погони или, как говорил один хороший портной, рукава от жилетки.
Them backing up. They may have been in communication on the phone. One set of law enforcement going to try to get the two women. There were two women that we saw leaving. Now you've got a suspect who has another vehicle and they are on the run. So this is a different kind of pursuit now. Instead of a disabled vehicle that we thought might be a chase that could soon come to an end, we now have another vehicle, high speeds here near the airport, trying to elude authorities, and this suspect now driving into oncoming traffic, going through an intersection there. We don't know if it was against the light, couldn't quite see that. But now you've got a very, very real problem here. Bruce, how does this change for law enforcement?
If you're back to square one, you're chasing a healthy vehicle which has not been spike stripped, does not have any disabling factors, and you're basically chasing a new vehicle. So it's starting over.
But now do you...
Probably going to try to do a pit maneuver on this vehicle, as they did not see the suspect with any kind of rifle.
Yeah, at that point, the person, we don't know if there was a handgun, but yeah, you're right. The person just ran, and you could actually see that.
Вот напишите в комментариях, кто бы из вас согласился бы помочь другу, если он позвонил и попросил помочь ему уйти от подобной полицейской погони. Я точно нет. Лучше буду по телеку это смотреть, чем участвовать.
Getting through that intersection, it is a green light. We're helping, but somehow this person into oncoming traffic now, going around the vehicle that got stuck in the middle of the road into oncoming traffic here. We can't see ahead necessarily, but this is really incredibly dangerous. Now back into the proper lane. We're Manchester and South Prairie.
Перекусить хоть бы заехали, а то даже я проголодался уже.
Driver is not the suspect. They are now. They're part of this now.
Это самая долгая погоня, которую я когда-либо комментировал.
Passenger of a Chevy truck. They're called suspects in our note. I'm having a hard time believing that this is a carjacking of this Mazda. It very possibly could be, I suppose, standoff. And then he jumped out and ran straight to that vehicle. Again, law enforcement is calling this a carjacking. We have to wait and see how that develops. But it does appear that from our perspective of it, it was a strange sequence of events to watch the vehicle back up and somebody jump in And very possibly the suspect, maybe the driver was trying to get out. See the vehicle once again, this Mazda SUV, once again still near the airport, still driving in the same general area. And did you see? Oh, that was an aggressive move by law enforcement to jump up because it looked as he was trying to make that right turn again. That might have taken him in the direction of the airport. So now look at this, up onto the median, in the center of the vehicle, up or on the road, up on the median, driving down the left turn lane. Here we make a left turn right there, nearly hitting that vehicle, getting control back in the left lane and making that right turn there. So whoever's driving is driving aggressively to try to get away. Looks like they've now got into a parking structure of some sort. If that is the case, there he goes again. So they pulled into that lot and then came right back out.
Что он делает, непонятно. Давайте, может, хоть музыку сменим, а то меня качает уже от этого бита.
And we again, where there were some open spots where they might try to pit this person, but they seem right now to be content to stand right.
Нормальный такой паровозик.
Play out. So does that tell us anything?
You know, I think maybe law enforcement.
Sometimes it's difficult to see, but they're on Vermont, and so now you see that person trying to move out of the way, very, very slow now.
Короче говоря, парни катались еще долго, наслаждались видами города, нежились в лучах яркого солнца и вовсю злили полицейских. А потом они поняли, что измотать полицейских получится только после себя, поэтому остановились и предприняли отчаянную попытку убежать пешком.
There were two people, and he was wearing a white t-shirt. That's the suspect that we saw. So he's taken off. One person is running away. This person is now on the run. That is, we believe, the murder suspect who initially got into that Mazda, and he had jumped somehow into the front seat. He is running from authorities down the sidewalk. They will be able to know where he is. Okay, now he's got his hands up, but still running. So let's see what ends up happening here. He is running out of gas, it seems, in this circumstance, getting exhausted. He's coming up to someone's house. Now, this is a potentially dangerous situation if he can get into that house. They have two men.
Неудачно.
So some of the officers do have in custody. They will sort through all of the charges this person faces.
Фух. После такой нудятины нужно расслабиться. Только посмотрите на этого парня. При этом за ним гонится полиция. Он просто хотел покрасоваться на камеру.